Yeah, I think so. Let's go for it.
Everything fine? Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Martin Iturbide. I'm from OS2World. I'm the news master of OS2World, and I also do some collaborative projects on the platform.
Same introduction.
Yeah. Copy and paste. Copy and paste. Nothing. There is. Oh, sorry. No, the back is not working fine. Sorry.
Huh? Wow.
Yeah, it's something I did wrong. I cannot go back for each slide, so we have to be careful. So one of the first projects that I still maintain and I'm still collecting is the OS2World GitHub repository. This repository is like a collection of all the source code I was able to find about OS2 related projects. So what I'm doing is creating a new repository and uploading the code that I can find to make it public for everybody. Some projects are under an open source license that is clearly specified of GPL, FreeBSD, BSD3 close. There are several licenses, and some other don't. That means that there are projects that some are educational, that they don't need like license because the author assumes, but it doesn't tell us that you can use that code for any use. And some others are, well, the source code was just there. We really don't know the license of it, but it was public in the first place. So it's always good to check the license of any source code that you will find interesting. And why I'm doing this? Well, at the beginning there was some complaints. Oh, why are you bringing up this code to the public? It's old. Some are unsupported. I don't understand why you're doing this. Is to have all the source code indexed, and in a way we can find it. Because sometimes the source code is on a zip file on a server somewhere, not even on hubs somewhere else, and people cannot search for it and cannot find it. On GitHub, for example, I can make a search of the source code that use workplace classes. So I can do a search and check all the which projects are based on in workplace shell. So I can try to grab some example and try to code something from that. So it's interesting to have all the source code index. Where is it? It's right now on GitHub. GitHub is a free service repository when you can upload and clone and create your own account without any cost. And it's on GitHub/OS2World. It has, well, we have a lot of repositories there. There are samples from books, there are open source projects, a lot of stuff. There are drivers, there are workplace shell examples, etc. There is a lot of stuff there. And the good thing is that if you want to experiment with software development, what you can do is just grab any repository that you like and you fork the repository and you work over there. You fork the repository, you call it any name you like. For this is my playground, whatever you can call it, and you try any crazy stuff with that source code without worrying about someone complaining, okay? Because it is your own fork. And please don't be afraid to fork repositories. Fear is the path to the dark side, okay? So just grab it and fork it and play around with it. There is nothing, there's nothing wrong forking a repository, okay?
There's a Git implementation for OS2 that works well.
What?
There's a Git client implementation for OS2 that works well.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Git client, well,
Or whatever, I
Git.exe.
forget, Git's weird, but.
Without graphical user interface, Git.exe works fine.
Uh-huh.
You can clone it. I even wrote a little article about how to how to use it,
Mhm.
and you can clone it, and you can work around with git.exe is the easy part. There was another graphic one, but well, the older one worked, the newer one
No, just the
didn't work.
basic plumbing, the
Okay.
command line, whatever.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff
it's
works.
Yeah.
command line works
Yeah.
perfect.
Smart Git.
If
Yeah, a lot of guys like Smart Git.
Yeah.
Command line client works fine. Both of them will have troubles if you start dealing with things like the Mozilla repositories, the very large ones.
let me
Because
open the
we just
browser.
haven't, no one's had the need to fix the memory issues. Everybody assumes that there's infinite memory.
There isn't?
What is Firefox?
Until you
What is Firefox?
Until you
Install
want it.
programs, installed software.
Firefox?
Probably 3887.
I forgot to open Firefox.
Yeah,
Just to
take-
check one repository and see how it looks like. If it looks.
It's just slow. It's an old machine.
Okay, no problem.
Small program.
Is that the right slash? No, right?
The WW comma isn't going to work well.
Oh. I'm used to Spanish keyboard, so.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
What is the slash here? Where is it?
Yeah, there we
Okay.
go. Oh,
No internet. Okay.
yeah, right click on the X, enable radio. Okay, now you're gonna have to go through the hotel portal thing. There we go.
Okay, connect.
That'll take a
This is,
minute.
this is from the hotel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now connect.
You have to click on connect.
Yeah. Now you can go back. Yeah, you can even pick it from the.
This is how the OS2World repository looks like. And we have a lot of projects that does not fit in a single page. So I also have some DOS utilities that are used on OS2, the source code, right? And I try to name it according to what it, on which component it runs. So for example, these are drivers. This is a library. There are samples for developers, like dev samples. There are, let's see, you can search for it. For example, I want to search for WordPress shell stuff, WPS. So I got here HWMan. I think you know HW Manager is the hardware manager from Lars. And there are other samples and animated mouse pointer, for example, that are from WordPress shell. Okay, you can just visit the repo, the repository. There you have the source code. And you can check the source code here, and you can, and you have some basic functions of Git, how you can start if you like it, and you can fork it to have your own repository. Once you fork it, you clone it, you change anything you want, you commit, you play with your own repository, okay? That's how it works. So it's very easy to use and very accessible, okay?
It's read only?
No, you clone it, you make your change, and you commit your changes.
Commit,
And you go making some versions and making any change.
Okay,
Yeah.
and also this is how Git works. It's really like any other client server type situation. Now it's really a distributed system the way it's set up here. The authors of the owners of that repository have commit rights.
Mhm.
What you typically do, since it's open source, you don't give anybody but the main contributors commit rights. So that's the fourth thing. You basically take a copy of that repository. Now you got a choice. You can keep it on your local machine,
Mhm.
or you can fork it and keep it out on GitHub in your own personal GitHub account.
Uh-huh.
when you make changes, you can just keep it to yourself, or let's say you're a erstwhile contributor and you put things back in down there, you can pass, Git has a number of ways of doing it. You can do diffs and ship them via email to the main repository owners. You can do a thing called pull requests, where you say, this change said here, I did this and this and this, and they basically pull it in and apply it. Essentially, it's a way of getting a diff.
Okay.
And so, so from that point of view, it's no different than any other type of version control system. Its big claim to fame is that it's fully distributed.
Right,
Unlike
yeah.
things like Perforce and Subversion, which are really more master-slave.
Right.
Yeah. And some comments about forking. Yeah, there are some issues about the forking a project. Forking, yeah, it's. We don't know, sorry.
Oh, and the second bullet item, that's not always true.
Yeah, but in this case, forking does not mean forking a repository does not mean forking the project. Somebody say, no, look for example what happened to Open Watcom, that somebody fork it and make it call Open Watcom 2.0 and trick all the people to go there. No, well, that's the developer that tricked people. That's the thing that he made wrong. But forking a repository doesn't mean I'm going to fork the project and I'm going to follow from other way always. It doesn't mean that. So
In this case,
don't be afraid of forking. You have it. Of course you have the cases. The second one, forking a repository doesn't mean that you are angry with the developer and you want to fork it and follow your own path. You can fork the repository to play around, to just try something else, try some experiment. It may work, it may not work, but it doesn't mean that that you are screwing the source
You
code
won't
of the.
fork it up, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Forking the repository doesn't mean someone is trying to steal your thunder. I don't know what it means, but no one is stealing nothing from you, so don't worry about that. And forking a repository is a good way to experiment different approaches. Okay, I'm going to try changing these variable names. Why do you want to do this? I want to experiment. No, changing that variable is like changing the name of the streets. I don't care. I want to try it. I'm not changing the name of the streets. I'm changing source code. I'm changing software. It's not a good comparison. Okay, I'm going to fork it. I'm going to try it myself. It's my time. So it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. You can take it to experiment. Okay. That's some points about fork.
Did you set up an example of a fork so you can actually show them how it works?
Oh, you want on the website? You want to see on the website?
Yeah, I know how it works, it's all these other folks.
Okay, no, it's very simple on the website. You have your own account. Well, I think I need to log on.
This is just a GitHub account?
Yes.
I'm going to log on. And for example, I have this repository and I'm going to fork the repository. Let's say where you want to put it. I'm going to put it on my personal account. I got, and that's it. I'm forking this project and put it under my account. Initially it was under OS2World, now it's under my user. And I can, well, if you want to explicitly change the name of it, you can put it like my test.
How easy is it to sync
can-
it back to the original project? I'm talking about if they make changes to the original project that you want to bring in.
Yeah, you can do like, for example, I change it here on my test, and I do like a request to the master repository for the one that have access accepted, and the changes are like committed back.
And I'm talking about going the other direction. So
Okay.
Updating.
Yeah, specifically in this one, some of you might actually recognize this application. This, if I recognize it properly myself, is Lars's HW man. Now, he has his own Git
Yeah.
repository, and
Yeah.
you're pulling it in. Effectively, you're forking his repository, but only so you have a reference copy in one place.
Yeah.
Also, you can work on a repository without forking it. benefit of forking it is that there's a copy out here.
Yeah.
But you can pull a local copy onto your machine, do whatever you want, branch, and all this sort of stuff, and then push your changes back in a number of different ways. Forking is just a nice handy thing, because the forking is almost more of a GitHub thing than a Git thing, per se. In the Git world, we typically call it clone.
Yeah.
But these guys like to call it fork, because they just are. Because it's some different person. Could be
Well,
when you're
the-
cloning
the-
your own stuff.
Right, see, the point of the fork is so that you can get a copy of the original and then do whatever you want to do in that. Now, if there's something that's interesting to the maintainer of the original, you can put in a pull request to pull those changes back into the original. The original maintainer has to approve the pull request. And then the main repository will pull your change from your fork into the main repository.
But that's usually easier to do if you're at the same level. So Lars has got his out there, and we just created a forked repository of it. Now, we can go make some changes, but Lars makes changes to his. Now, I'm still at the older, the older code base. Does the GitHub have the ability to say, okay, I want to now sync back up?
When you did your original clone, where'd you clone it from?
I'm talking about like if you did this.
An older
Oh.
version of Lars's
Well.
source.
So he just did this. He just did this one here.
Well, yeah, but what form is that older version in?
Well, for
Whatever this
example,
is.
here on this,
Whatever it
on
was
this
when you
project,
forked it.
Where did you get your copy of his source?
From GitHub. I'm talking about the GitHub fork. It's
Okay.
specifically.
In other words, you cloned it out of Lars's repository.
Yeah, so I'm talking about, in particular, this, like if I've never done a fork, I've just done the clone. So I go in there and I clone it down, I can do I do a
Exactly,
diff and I
yeah.
send the diff
Right.
up. And if I want to get updates, I just do a git pull or a git fetch and what.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but this is, now if I pull from,
It works the same way, you're just gonna use the GUI, because when you fork, you're doing a clone. It's one thing I really sort of disagree a little bit, they changed the terminology for no real good benefit. The reality is, when you do a fork, you're doing a clone, which means that from your repository, it knows where you clone that thing from. You do a git pull, it'll update from your parent.
so if I go and pull from the fork, it's going to pull from the parent too.
Well, it's automatic, it knows who the
Okay.
parent is.
Okay.
The fork is not something that sits on its own.
So
It's
it's-
got all the standard
Right.
metadata that a normal
Right.
So it's not like
repository would have.
So it's not like either an SVN or a
CVS.
CVS revision, where you
No.
where you blocked it, where you said, okay, I'm gonna tag this or whatever, and it's now at this level. It's actually just keeps that.
Yeah, well, SVN does it too. SVN knows which repository got your stuff from.
Well, yeah, but there's
The only difference is you don't have a full copy of the repository,
yeah.
which means there's certain things you can't do. And also other things, like for instance, branches have a very short lifetime a lot of times in Git. It's just a different work style. Branches are forever in SVN, although that may change. Because these things over time, they sort of grab the best ideas of
Mhm.
both.
The real problem with using the term fork, and I don't mean to step
Yeah.
on your presentation, the real problem with using the term fork is that in the general context of open source development, we think of fork as taking project A and saying, I don't like the direction that project is taking. I want to take this in my direction. So I fork the project. OpenOffice was forked to LibreOffice. So now they're
And then we were forked.
Now we're forked. There are two completely separate
They fork us.
projects. Forking on GitHub isn't like that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're creating something completely new and different and independent of the original. That's why it really is a clone. But for s-
And underneath covers, it's a clone.
That's
too.
exactly what it
For some
is.
reason, they just didn't like the term clones, and they invented their own word, and they confused things.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, but the issue is that they want to clone the repository, but also have their
It's not a want, it's a do.
autonomy. Yeah, but they're
What happens?
yeah, they want to have their own autonomy with a project because they want to try different things. If it works, it may be a pull request to send it back. If it doesn't work, it dies there. So it's more for experimental. Young people tries to clone it,
That's
try it out.
okay.
If something works, maybe I will send it to the author and to a pull request. Maybe not. We'll see if it works.
I use it for a lot of other things. I have probably at least 100 clones sitting on my systems. Why? Because it's faster to look at that stuff than it is to go to the web and do a slow search on somebody's LXR or something like that.
Right.
Okay. Question.
Basically, you're limited only by your creativity.
Good. Now you can.
I still never heard the answer to his question.
Okay.
Which is, you know, you've got version 10
Okay.
and you fork it and that's yours.
Right.
Now we come up here with version 11. How do
Okay.
we get the changes in version 11 into this one?
Show them how you pull the updates from Mars's plate.
The-
Mars's-
okay, no. In that case, I don't have access to the where Lars
Mars's
works.
is- I thought you
I
said Mars's stuff was on GitHub.
no.
Mars
It's
released
my.
the source code, but
it's-
Martin put it
Oh,
on.
so
Yeah.
you're pushing.
He put it on the
basically
zip file
doing-
on Hubs, and I
Yes.
just grab it and upload it there.
Okay, what he's
Wh-
really doing is he's doing a git commit.
No, but
Yes.
let's say he gave you an update.
Yeah.
You put it into here, now you have the situation they're talking about.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah,
Well,
he's
since I'm not coding it, I don't have any problem. I just on the JIT I replace the files. JIT tell me that there are changes and they're committed and they make the comparison of the text files and know what is changed. Let me check.
But Martin, the
Let's
question
say-
is, how do you resolve
Okay.
conflicts?
So, okay,
Okay.
so, yeah, so right,
There won't be any.
well, yeah.
There won't be any
Why not?
because
There will
have
not
to
be
go.
any copies because he's taking and putting.
Yeah, but that's not the point.
No, we understand that.
No, that's-
The answer is simple.
No,
There
no,
are
no.
no conflicts to resolve.
Yes, there can be, because the
No,
question
there
is,
can't be.
no,
This is
yo.
Mars's code.
Oh, yeah, but
When
this,
he's-
no, yeah,
there's
okay,
no-
but that's
let me
not the
explain why
point.
there's none, and
You
then
just
you tell me
listen
why
to
I'm
him because
wrong.
he's asked the question
Yeah.
2-3 times and
Yeah.
you've run
Okay,
around it.
no, so what I'm saying is that you've created the fork, and so.
No, in Mars's case, he hasn't.
No, he just
No.
did, he just did it,
Oh,
he just did it.
yeah.
Okay, so, if Martin says, I wanna play with this, now Lars is still doing his stuff, and he's updating
Okay,
it.
yeah, let's assume Lars had a git repo.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's
and
assume.
whether or not he has a Git repo or not, he takes the code, he puts it up into you know, even if it's
Right.
Martin, he puts it into the main code, you know, the main one. So it goes from version 10 to version 11. Now, but we still got our fork that we just created on version 10.
Right?
So Martin's been playing with it. I want to go in there and I've created my fork. I want to go make these changes, and I'm going to change those variable names. Well, in that process, something in maybe Lars decided I need to change a variable name.
Sure.
So now it creates a conflict because
Yeah, but
you know
it's
between the.
easier to-
But it's
resolve
my
the
conflict,
same
not
way
Lars'
resolve
conflict.
conflicts with any
Yes.
version control
Well,
system.
yeah, I understand that, but how do you get these two repositories
Well,
to
here's
sync?
here's what would happen, okay? Where are you getting, let's assume you started with this one just because, okay?
Yeah.
You've got your local changes, okay? He comes along and makes, what's that, version 10, he uploads version 11. Now, he never gets any conflicts because he's doing a git add, and he's effectively the owner, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Right.
His version is the pristine version,
Right.
he's always right. okay?
Right.
Yeah.
You do a git, now what you do is you do a git pull from this into your fork. And you'll get conflicts if they're conflicts,
Yeah.
and then you turn into a programmer and resolve them.
Well, yeah, yeah, I understand that. That's the part. Okay, I understand that part, but I don't know. I guess maybe it's just a Git thing. But do you have to do those on your local repository to bring those merges,
No.
or does it?
No,
or
you
does
can do
this
it
take
all,
care
you
of
can
it?
do it all there, they have editors and all that online, you can basically do all your programming on the web. However, for me, I just find it faster, here's the thing, I would be working in my local repository and pushing my changes up for publication if I was using the GitHub repository. Why? Because it's faster, that's all. But there's nothing to stop you, if you
So
go look here, there's.
what you're
editors.
saying then is that it would be Andy's responsibility to to pull the latest pristine source first before his changes go back.
Well, they
to the
simply
main
won't go
source.
back, it's not even responsible, Git's smart enough not to do that.
Mhm.
In other words, it's not gonna let you
That's,
push stuff.
that's the answer that we're trying to reach.
Yeah,
Yes.
now-
Git won't let you take outdated code that you have updated and push it back, even if you have.
No, that's
If you
not
have
true.
access,
You're-
if you have access, you can
If you're the
just.
owner
Yeah,
of the
if you're the
repository,
owner,
I'm
you
not
have.
talking about
Don't
freedom.
forget-
Or if I can,
Here.
if I give you access to this repository.
Well, there's a
He's a
fixed
commuter
goal.
to
I don't
his
understand
own.
entirely.
Yeah.
And he's worked on outdated code now, and he wants
No,
to
it's not
change it.
outdated because he's working on it. It's a philosophical.
Fed-
I'm-
You're talking. with the
I'm
reality.
talking about
I'm missing a lot of slides.
Yeah.
the main GitHub repository for this code.
Plus,
on
we're
OS2
well into Roderick's presentation
Andy
at this
has
point.
done a fork.
Right.
So now he's got an A.B. Willis
Yeah.
1 fork.
Right.
He's worked on his fork.
Okay, now what you want to do with it?
Wait a second, he's worked on his fork for the last month.
Yeah.
A week ago, Lars updated the source. Martin took Lars's updated
Right.
source and updated the OS2World repository.
Right.
Andy's changes are against the previous version.
No big deal. Trivial.
No big deal, trivial for whom?
For Andy.
It sounds funny, but the
You're asking
question
the
is,
You're making it a much bigger problem. than
I'm
it is.
not, the question is, whose responsibility is it?
Well, it's not so much responsibility. If I'm working on, I understand if I'm working against
You're
Lars's
mixing
original.
and matching apples and oranges here. It's not, first of all, he can't commit
Yeah.
to his repository. He's never gonna cause a problem for his repository.
No,
For me,
no.
it's not going to be a
Well,
problem.
what I want to know, so
Now, wait a second.
How
You
does
want
he
these
get his secret?
changes?
Yeah.
What you do is you do a git pull.
well, but
And you will have a conflict, because if you change something drastic, you will
I
have a
understand
conflict
the
with the
conflicts
other
don't bother
version.
me. The conflicts don't bother me as
Okay.
such. What I'm looking at is saying, okay, I'm going in and I've created the fork, and when I create a
Now,
clone
Where's that fork living? Wait a second. Where's the, locally or on GitHub?
on GitHub,
That
Tom?
GitHub repository knows that he is the father.
Yeah.
He's the source of the clone.
But does
You
it
do a
automatically
git
clone?
pull
Does it
on that
automatically
repo-
pull?
That you do a git
Not
pull in
automatically.
that repository, you will pick up his changes.
So there's a git pull in the tool.
It has to be, it's a repository, it's Git.
Okay.
There was a button on that screen, you do that,
Someplace,
There was, yeah.
and it was called
Okay.
pull?
No, it was
Yeah,
called
but
compare.
not on that screen, the other screen.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, for example, my test.
You have
Yeah.
to go to the clone.
See, the branch
This is
is
the
even.
clone.
You mean the fork?
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
Yes.
Please.
On GitHub it's a fork.
Yes, you gotta go to the fork, my bad English.
Not the knife
Okay.
and spoon.
And then, where is the save button? I'm going to commit this change to my fork repository.
Okay, that's putting in.
Yeah, and I just made this change. And
There's a pull
okay,
request
the name.
and compare.
Okay, there is, and I have some tools. Let me check where is it.
And it may just be a pull request.
It's-
from
it's
the
right there.
repository. I don't
Pull
know whether there's
request.
some
Where is-
terminology here.
See-
I don't
Oh, pull
know.
request.
Right there, below the clone or download, but green
Okay.
button.
Is there a
Pull request.
someplace?
Yeah, it's right there.
There it is.
Oh, new pull request.
There you go.
But you also had pull request.
Okay. I don't use it too much
No, see,
from
that
the,
pull
from
request
the
is
graphic
going the other
interface and
direction.
not use the client to clone.
Yeah,
and-
but the pull, no, the
Okay.
pull is asking him.
Right, you're.
Pull
I have
your
changed-
change.
I don't.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not talking
Oh,
about
that's
pulling my
different.
changes.
No, but
I'm
there was
not
another
talking
pull
about-
request to
I'm
go the
trying
other
I
way.
know,
Oh,
you want to
okay.
get
I
pristine.
know, and you got
Yeah.
pull from
Yeah.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there was a
Well,
button on the
somebody
right side that
changes
said
in
pull
comparison
request.
to
There was a
others.
button on the right side that said pull request
Right.
before he did that.
Well, there's two types of.
Yeah, he had
he's
create
trying to do
request
the two-
to go
you gotta
one way.
Make sure you do it the right type
Yeah.
of pull.
They were
I
both
can
there.
tell him, see, this pull request, I believe, is
I think I'm bringing it back.
request to the owner of the.
Hey, Martin.
Of the parent repository.
Correct.
that
This
you
is a
like
pull
to
It's not
make
request.
changes.
Correct.
Yeah, so
It's
you
not-
wanna
it's not
basically
switching.
do a
A
pull.
pull.
You want,
Period.
yeah,
Not a request to pull.
and I gotta. believe-
Exactly. You want to update what you
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, you-
That's different than
Yeah.
requesting that the owner take your changes.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna have to go look.
Well, we had to try it out.
And it is confusing as all, and the question was
No.
excellent because it comes up in my mind all the time. It's like, well,
You're
all
pulled
right,
in both directions, you can.
Yeah.
It,
Because the problem is you're when you create a clone of the fork, you're not pulling
There you go.
a clone of the original.
Google time.
Right, you've got two forks.
So
Well, of course, you're always going to have conflict if you change something and say, okay, but version 11 is out there, I'm going to put it back. What about your changes? Your changes was not committed on the first place, so there's going to be conflict according to the if you made a drastic change or not. So maybe you will have to save it and put it back. It depends. Well, maybe version 10, version 11 changes everything you made in version 10. Okay. The good thing will be if it works, I will try to make a pull request for the original author to take that code back
Well, these
and put it.
clients here think that you're
Okay.
working on your local machine and you're gonna push to your, you're gonna pull from there and do this.
Well, just to continue because I have several slides and Roderick is next.
Yeah.
You know, it's not
Advance.
impossible that
But
Github doesn't
Push
support
forward.
it.
You
I
have
think it's-
there's a very quick article I made about using JIT on the
Oh,
Recom
okay.
station with
Trivial
some
use.
comments.
It's
And
a direction thing. When you do the pull request, you pull from that repository.
Yeah.
You swap the base and the head.
okay,
So you make the head, not you, but the other guy.
that's better, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I also try my best to keep the catalog of the open source things on the OS2World Wiki, because sometimes it's hard to find. I need a clock. Yes, you can search for a clock there, but I have like a matrix on the OS2World Wiki when you can search the open source project. I try to keep it sync. Sometimes I can. Well, sometimes it doesn't happen, but I try to keep it updated. Okay.
86 people said that.
The other thing that I'm working on, and you are also welcome to join, is the OS2World Wiki. This is a wiki about anything related to OS2 and Ecom Station that is not related to development, because to software development is going to the ADM2 wiki, and this is the rest. This is I like this very old software that I still use today, and it doesn't have a web page. It doesn't have somewhere where it has the description, the screenshots, etc. You can go to the OS2World Wiki, create a page for that software, and write some description, upload some screenshots, put the download link, and put any other information. For example, let me check the slash. This is the wiki, and for example, I get this page software, and I have all the pages related to software on this category. For example, Datapad, and this is a page I created about Datapad with the descriptions, download, license, the name of the author, and I even have information about the author. So anybody can just modify these pages with the same OS2World account and password, and just write it on something. The wiki is very simple. I don't know if you have used a wiki. Is with the equal signs. You put a header. More equal signs is a subheader, and the links are web link is one bracket. A link inside the wiki is two brackets. You just grab one article that exists and copy the how it works internally, just like some of us learn HTML by checking the source code of the page. This is more easy, and you can do that. I learned how to use the wiki by checking the Wikipedia and checking how is the source of the page on Wikipedia. So you can really, it's very
Is that how
easy.
you normally update wikis? You go and type this kind of junk in?
Yeah.
There's no tool that provides you to.
No,
Okay.
I just go. For example, I can see the recent changes, and I can see if any of you are doing some crazy stuff, like deleting my things. Okay, and I can do an undo, and since it's just text and all the changes are recorded, I can just do undos if you're doing anything crazy.
There's nothing
Okay.
to- Yeah, also,
That
there's
is-
nothing to stop you from taking this stuff into the clipboard and dumping it into the local editor and editing away and pasting it back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just funny.
No,
It's a better editor if you do it locally than if you use the one on the.
It's funny, it's such a ubiquitous mechanism and there's no tool to do this. It's
It's-
provided with
It is, it is.
It's
weird.
because it is most useful. A wiki,
Define tool.
a wiki comes from the name wiki. I think it means quick in Hawaiian. I don't know.
It's Hawaiian.
Yeah, it's quick.
Yeah.
Quick. So it's you write this wrong. Edit, change it fast, and save it like 10 seconds. And you have a lot of people doing that.
Yeah.
Improving that little thing.
There
If
is
you
a-
want to do
no.
a longer article, it's a word. Is a word processing tool better. But if you need to change and put things really quick, and you have only 5 seconds, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you can do it very quickly and on the web page. That is the idea.
Tool, what do you mean, David?
Well, some GUI thing on the web
It's
that
there.
says
Oh,
I
there's
want to
a
add a
GUI thing.
section,
When you
whatever. I
click-
mean,
wait a sec,
it's not that hard to imagine.
When you click on edit, you're gonna get a little bar.
There's a
with
little
icons
toolbar
which
that does some
standard markdown.
rudimentary markdown.
Uh-huh, okay.
But there's a QT tool that will allow you
Yeah,
to
that's
edit
local, right?
wiki. Yeah, yeah. And what you do with that though is that it's got all the markdown syntax in it, it's GUI.
Uh-huh.
So you do all your editing locally, then you copy that, and then paste that into the
Yeah, okay.
the editor there.
The
Yeah,
most
somebody might write something which you can give it a URL and it'll suck it down for you. and push it
Yeah, I
back
think
up.
that there may be a plugin for that.
The idea of the wiki is to do quick things, and it doesn't matter if it's like wrong or not complete on the first submit. The idea is to have something, because in between having nothing and having something incomplete, I prefer to have something incomplete. So a wiki also help. Okay, I'm going to write this, and I just going to be there. Since it works on a collaborative license, it allows someone else to include more things to improve it. Okay, that's the idea of the wiki. It's a collaborative tool. Okay, and that's with the wiki. Okay. I think I talked about this. And what I'm doing on the wiki also, if there is an old article, I request permission to the author if I can find him, and try to repost it on the wiki. That means that someone else, if want to do a new article, it can copy things from that from older articles and it create a new one. Screenshots of OS2 and e-commerce station software are also welcome. Links to all article or books are also welcome, to have them linked somewhere. Of course, I cannot publish a book without permission or an article without permission, but I can link it if you find it on the web. Okay? And I also have the site for OS2 hardware compatibility as a wiki. Somebody doesn't like it, somebody prefers a database. I think that a wiki is a good way for people to submit their own experience with hardware and e-commerce station and put it somewhere. Where are you going to post it anyway? On your own web server, or you have this tool. Okay, everything that is related to OS2 and is not about software development goes to OS2World Wiki, and things that are related to development go to the ADM2 Wiki. Okay? This is the other thing I'm also trying to improve. Inside the ADM2 Wiki, there is the API project. The API project is like a sub-page of the wiki that hosts development-related information about the API that OS2 uses. Okay, so this project tries to document and include everything of the OS2 World API, of the OS2 API, and also third-party APIs that are not well documented. Okay? Why I'm trying to do this? Because developers requires to know the information of what can do on, well, how can I request things from OS2? How can I, if you're going to start development, you need to know, okay, what functions should I call to get the date, to get some color, to get anything. And that is part of the OS2 API. This is what I didn't found any graphic about the OS2 architecture, so I tried to create one myself. This graphic may be wrong and right at the same time, yeah, because it's an interpretation of how someone can see the architecture of OS2. So you have, well, the OS2 kernel. That I don't know what it does. It does what a kernel does. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's the kernel stuff that have their device drivers that communicate with hardware. Okay, you have the control program interface, which is the first API that you need to know. It's very linked to the kernel. Some guys don't even like that I separate the two layers, but applications call the control program interface. They don't call the kernel. Control program interface is the one that is in charge to call the kernel, for what I know. Okay, and you have the other components that work over control program interface, CPI. There is the full screen session, presentation manager, that is our graphic user interface, some, and workplace shell. But I have a little quick description about each one. There is, well, presentation manager is the graphic user interface, and it's also an API. So when we develop the application, they say, okay, let me show, give me a window, give me with these icons, these buttons. We are calling presentation manager, and presentation manager is all the control program interface, and you have SOM. I forgot the word. System object model, which is some kind of super crazy framework for objects.
That's one way to put it.
Good.
That is how to call it, because our objects, okay, for object-oriented programming, and over SOM is the workplace shell, which is like the natural or the most successful SOM program in OS2. Maybe, well, others, but I think it's the bigger program. That is a workplace shell, is the, or desktop, is the desktop shell. Workplace shell is not the GUI, is our desktop shell, is the thing that makes the GUI looks like a desktop with folders, with the place where you put the files and how it's organized. That is the desktop shell, okay? And it's created over SOM. For example, CPI, the control program interface, has a lot of basic functions. For example, okay, I want to make a program and I need to know the current date. Okay, we have the DOS get date function. And what it does, and I'm trying to document each of the functions on the wiki, okay? And it's also important or interesting to know if we find a function that is not documented, let's put it, this is not documented. I need help. If somebody knows anything, how it works, or guess how it works, let's put it there. I'm guessing that it works this way. Maybe someone would say, your guessing is wrong, I will correct it, or your guessing is right, I confirm it, okay? So it's very interesting to have all these functions. For example, make a beep sound, the OS beep, and how you call that function, okay? And this is just to have a graphical view of what the super crazy framework that is SOM work is used for. You have classes that are based on SOM. I think that you already saw this on OS2 when you check the SOM classes, and you find that all these classes are part of the workplace shell. And when you have an object on your desktop, for example, This is an object called desktop that is an instance of the WP desktop class. Okay, and on your WPS object, or you have inside presentation manager. So you have everything mixed up when you are using an application. Okay. And let's also don't forget the other super cool APIs that we have. For example, it's not necessary for us to program on Presentation Manager. Maybe we don't know PM programming, and we find it more interesting to make something on Qt. We can also download Qt. We can try to make applications with this API, and we don't care about Presentation Manager when we are doing something about Qt. Okay, so Qt, yes, it works over Presentation Manager, but we do not need to know Presentation Manager. So that is how many of the Qt applications are being ported to OS2, because they run on this layer. Also, SDL and Cairo can work this way. Okay, and we have the libc, which is a C library that runs over control programming interface. So it is very interesting to know all the APIs. And of course, this kind of APIs I'm not going to document on the OS2 Wiki, because each of their project page are very current and have more information. So I'm going to just document the OS2 APIs and the third APIs that are like exclusive for OS2, or they were made in the past exclusive for OS2 that do not have any much information. Okay. So let's also don't forget that we have other APIs that we can use, and they are very important. For example, to port some things from the Linux world to OS2. And well, this is where we are trying to document anything related to OS2, software articles, screenshots, source code, and document the APIs so OS2 programming doesn't turn into a dark art that nobody knows what this function does. How does it work? So we're trying to understand all the OS2 components to document them. Okay? This is what I'm doing on the OS2 Wiki. And I had a question for you. How many times OS2 has died? Maybe the first time was in '96, when IBM internally stopped putting focus on the platform. When they say, oh, Lou Hersner is going to stop investing on the platform, and maybe that was the first death. Second death was maybe in 2001, when IBM published the end of marketing. That means it will no longer sell OS2. Maybe death number 3 was on 2006, when the end of support was reached. That's what the date where IBM says, I'm not giving any support to the platform. Number 4, maybe when Serenity systems disappear and everything was turned to Menzies, there was a moment where we didn't know what is going on. And some days Menzies show up and say, oh, I have e-commerce station development. And maybe 5, maybe this is this is Mark, the 5th death of OS2, when Menzies was brought by XU. So how many times? There were like 5, right? Maybe 6, I don't know. Okay, it has been discussed a lot. But the real question is, how do we prevent OS2 to die more times? That's the real question we should be asking ourselves. And what I found is, well, it was told, I hear someone that said, open source will not save OS2, because you need people to develop software. You need to get that people pay, and that is completely true. Open source, it's a development methodology, it's a licensing methodology. And it will not do anything by itself. It requires people to do that. But I also have to say that OS2 will not save OS2, open source, because open source saved OS2. How does it save it? Sorry, Steve. we have a lot of projects that came from the open source world that we are using today. And we will not have that project if they were not open sourced by the author the first time. For example, how many of you are surfing the internet with Web Explorer? No, no one. Web Explorer is not working. If Firefox will not be open source from Netscape, we will not have it today on internet browser. Also, all the projects that we have are the ones that allow us to use OS2 today, because we grab it from the open source world and we put it on the platform. So open source is still a very important part of OS2, even if the platform is not open source. All the rest of the components are open source and we are using it today, okay? Open source does not mean work for free or no money. Open source does not mean charity work for the operating system, and open source does not mean free of charge, okay? So there are things that people say about open source that are not completely true and needs to be reformulated. Open source means a learning opportunity for everyone because we have the source code available. It means freedom for the user because we reduce the risk of having only one person development or having the exclusivity of that development. And it means collaboration for everyone and the use of open standards, okay? Open source software does not die, or it's harder for open source software to die, okay? So, open source will reduce the risk of dying a sixth time. That is my point of view, okay? So that is why open source it's important, and I think it's very important for the community, okay? And I want to thank you and thank all the sponsors that made my trip possible. There was no Illuminati sponsorship on my trip here because they always ask, no, there are individual people that just give me from 20 to, well, and one that gives more, but there are no conspiracies on my sponsors. Just in case, I was asked that. And when you collaborate, remember, online, remember the words of Will Wheaton. Okay? That is my rule since some years ago on the collaboration work. Okay? Thank you very much.
All right, we have Roderick, I hope,
Yeah.
waiting.
He just joined our
okay.
IRC.
He's
so-
rising from the dead.
And you need to hit stop, hit stop, or
Okay.
I don't know this tool.